Thank you for joining this call. So here we are going to talk about DevOps. We have our speaker, Mamta Jha, who's the co-founder of Tech Scalable. She has over 15 years of experience in software industry. She is a specialist in migrating, deploying, and managing cloud native apps on various cloud platforms. She has extensive knowledge and experience in architecting cloud and DevOps solutions. And she's a public speaker at several technical national, international conferences such as DevDish Sri Lanka and Huddle Kerala. So we'll be having Mamta talk to us about DevOps. And one more thing, if you want to interact with the chat, the session chat here, also Mamta will be asking you certain questions at the end of the session. Please pay attention to the session and you will be eligible for prizes if you answer those questions. So over to you, Mamta.
Thanks, Shubhanjali. Hi, everyone. Hope you people are having good sessions from last 2 days and you guys are enjoying. So let me start the timer so that I don't overshoot it. So yeah, hi, everyone. It's me, Mamta. We are here to talk about all we need to know about DevOps. DevOps is like a buzzword from last few years. Shubhanjali has given my introduction. This year beginning, unfortunately, the Corona year, I started my own startup, which we do a lot of consulting and training in all the cloud and DevOps and all those uh, technologies, I would say. So let's start with DevOps. Before to that, let's understand how does the evolution of development and deployment has happened in last few years. So if you see from the left to the right and from the top to the bottom, we have been moving across different phases of the uh, development and deployment life cycle. We were following waterfall model. We were into monolithic application architecting. We were deploying something in our physical servers, and our applications were deployed in data centers. Then time came when people in the 2000s, they moved towards agile. Then we understood that monolithic architecture doesn't help us scale well. So we moved to n-tier architecture. That means it's multi-tier architecture, the front end, the back end, the middle tier, we separated. And from physical machine, we understood the use of virtual machines and we moved on to that. And a lot of people moved towards the hosted platform where people could rent and run the subs. Then slowly we have seen that from agile, because agile's whatever process-oriented stuff or the fundas behind agile, that matches a lot with DevOps. We would see that DevOps wants to do things quickly, small churns to happen, minimal viable product, shorter time to market. Those are few of the things which agile also talks about. So DevOps and agile go pretty hand in hand, I would say. So we are following agile these days and we are doing DevOps. We are including a lot of tools in the complete life cycle of the software development model. And we are not deploying n-tier architecture, rather we are deploying microservices. And those microservices are like these days, everyone talks about Netflix, Ola, Uber, Myntra, Amazon. These are all running with help of microservices, right? We don't see a downtime associated with it. So that's the beauty of microservices, and that's the beauty of getting quicker functions to be deployed with the help of DevOps in the cloud. So we are doing those things, executing microservices in containers, and we would be running stuffs in cloud. So here we are like moving from one era to the other era. Now most of the things are running in cloud, doing a CI/CD pipeline with the help of microservices running in containers. So we would see what exactly does DevOps means. A lot of people think that if they get 10 say tools together and it becomes like a when you're integrating multiple tools, you are setting up a pipeline, you think that it's all done and you are supposed to follow DevOps or you're following DevOps. It's not like that. It's like mix and match of a lot of stuff. It's about automation set up in every phase with the help of tools. We are doing quicker iterations because we are able to achieve many more things quicker. I remember when I was with Alcatel-Lucent long back, that time we used to build in 1.5 months, but that is like every week we are building. or on every commit we are building these days. So things have gone very quicker, and there is no manual work associated with it. Earlier, branching, merging, these things used to be a huge pain, right? So these are tool-oriented stuffs. But if I just have tools and I don't have good team in place, things will not work. If you see at the center, dev and ops are overlapping, and there's a bit of collaboration which has to be there with both the teams. And that's the reason collaboration or working together is one of the main mantras for DevOps to succeed. So communication, collaboration, integration, these would be the important pillars, non-tool pillars, I would say, which will help the DevOps work. Everyone would have seen this infinity symbol showing the complete life cycle of DevOps. And there are n number of tools in the market which can make our life difficult, getting learning, implementing, certification, n number of things on n different technologies. But if you see, in every phase of the life cycle, there are some set of tools which are the best, like this Jenkins uncle is one of the amazing guys, or I would say I am in this industry from 15 years. I see that tool enhancing in these many years. So a lot of tools came and went off, but few tools are still existing and people are still using those tools because tools are upgrading themselves. So these are few of the tools in different forte. We would see the tools going ahead, like we have Jira, Git, Confluence and all for the management of code, for tracking the product backlog, for tracking the user stories, a lot of stuff. And Git is like a version control system, right? So you're planning, you're coding, then you're building with help of Maven and all. You are doing testing with help of tools like JUnit and Selenium. You're doing a release with the help of tools like Jenkins. Once you have released it, you have to deploy in either cloud, in container and all that. So that is also that Docker is there, AWS or Google. And infra is also become automated, right? Infrastructure as a code using these beautiful tools, Chef, Ansible. Kubernetes is the layer which sits on top of Docker or any other containerization platform, which helps us attain a lot of stuffs. So here, if you see, once we have deployed it, our responsibility becomes much more higher because things have to work and our customers have to be pretty satisfied. So we have monitoring tools, beautiful monitoring tools, which make our life easy, good dashboards, things are visible, alerts are coming. A lot of stuff can be done on those tools itself. So if we talk about DevOps tools, we can categorize them into different stages of the life cycle, right? I'm trying to represent the same set of tools, or here and there you could find new names over here, but the representation instead of infinity, they have become in columns and rows over here. So let's understand how does the build pipeline normally works. We are sitting and coding as developers, and every day in, day out, I'm writing 10, 15 lines of code, and it becomes difficult if after 20 days, 30 days, I go and merge with my colleagues' code, right? So continuously integrating with the help of Git. Once it is integrated, my code, your code works or not, that testing is pretty important, building it, deploying it, and moving from stage to stage. Like we are moving from the dev to the QA, to the staging, or which is called as pre-pod, and then going to the prod. So this would be the complete workflow. And with time, people think that, okay, we are into this system, we got to automate everything in one go. No, that can't be the answer. You automate one phase in quicker, smaller cycles, and you don't move in all stages or all phases of the life cycle at the same point in time, enhancing or automating the steps. It's not good if we are doing that. So plan out phase by phase. First automate the code integration, then automate the code build, then integrate the testing tools. So like that, if you see, with time you would grow. You have to plan properly, integrate it, deploy it, and finally monitor it. So my double screen is troubling a bit. So I have a question here. What all tools do you think are most popular tools for doing a Docker deployment these days in the market? I'm switching back to that screen, and AWS, Azure, okay, Kubernetes. So if we want to deploy, so Kubernetes, one question for which we would be giving out goodies. What are the different flavors of Kubernetes available with every cloud provider, the major cloud providers? If someone can give all the flavors of Azure, Google, Oracle, and Microsoft, the guy or the girl would get a goodie. So our team is performing really well in announcing winners and all. So I'll say participate in that. And let's see the CI/CD, how we do with the containers. So you start with a collaboration tool where you are. This collaboration tool has nothing to do with containers as such, but in the pipeline, when you are doing a container build, when you're doing a container test, when you're deploying in containers, then you don't have a choice. The complete flow has to be there. So Jira is the collaboration tool. Git is the most popular source control management tool, or Bitbucket is also widely used. SVN is used, CSV is used. A lot of tools are there in the market, right? Once my code is there, I need to scan my code and understand that the code is good. There are no flaws in the code. So we use tools like SonarQube, which are beautiful. They support an N number of languages. And with that, you can understand that where all there are small pit holes in my code so that I can identify them and fix them. They even find out the smelly codes, the things which are repeated. I have defined a function in 3-4 places. Instead of that, I can define a common function that also it would be helping us identify. We can build the code with help of Maven or Jenkins, and a lot of tools are there, but Maven and Jenkins, like Maven is normally used for Java projects, and Jenkins has a lot of tools to support any type of building for all type of source codes like PHP, Python, C++, and many other things. And it can integrate with Groovy script and scripts, a lot of things, and give a good build. Once you have done, so code is built. Now, instead of running that in virtual machine, we would be running that in containers. So you have to build image out of it, and we are using Docker to build. Many a times you would find on the Jenkins machine itself, we would be installing Docker. And as soon as the build is finished, we would do a Docker image creation, test it. Testing is pretty important. Whether the container at least comes up with that prepared image, that needs to be checked, because we would be pushing that image to a registry. So how we have our code build to be pushed in artifactories which hold the code of ours, the code build package of ours, like jar file or war file, which we have built. JFrog Artifactory serves for that. But if I want to push the image registries are different. They understand a different level of file system, and all is different. They understand union file system way of working. So we would be using either the dockerhub.docker.com, or you can start your own private registry, or you can go with Azure's container registry, AWS container registry, Google container registry. Everyone has an option over there. Now, images are there in the registry server. You deploy them in your Kubernetes cluster with the help of Helm charts or with the help of commands, whichever you prefer, and do a round of testing. Testing is always important. And you do set of automated test case like smoke test, sanity test, regression test. A lot of testings are done. And then finally, you deploy them into the prod. Once this is done, the important phase is to monitor. Logging, monitoring becomes pretty important. So Prometheus is one of the famous tools for logging. And now, when we are talking about DevOps, DevSecOps is important. Wherever the pipeline or the complete phase of the DevOps goes, in every phase, there can be a security insertion happening. I would check the quality of the code. I'll check the agility of the security, all security aspects of my, say, web app or whatever I'm deploying, right? I would identify if there are any open source code I'm taking, if there are any bugs in that. All those things are pretty important, because these days we have to be pretty alert. If something goes wrong, we have to do penetration testing. We have to do a lot of other stuffs as well, so that we don't lead to any loopholes where people can take advantage of that and our security is compromised. So we do a lot of code analysis. We do a lot of change management. We do a lot of compliance testing. There are compliance with respect to countries as well. We got to follow that. There are regular audits, quality checks happening, right? So we would be monitoring on that. And you would have any threats associated with it, that investigation and all also has to be done. So cloud providers provide their own tools for doing this stuff as well. And there are quite a few number of open source tools which you can use as well. So let's see into some of the tools which we can use. SonarQube can be used for the code scanning. You have any software which it's like a web application, you want to check any vulnerabilities, you can do the web inspect. Checkmarks is the one which will help us identify any vulnerabilities, and it supports a lot of security scripting languages and framework. So any security type of solution you're preparing, then you can check with checkmarks. Twistlock is there, which is just made for cloud native security platforms. So these days, cloud native is also a huge buzzword, right? CNCF is doing a lot of work with respect to the cloud native architecting. Notary is there, in which, in case you're using a Kubernetes cluster, that cluster has to be secure. We have role-based access methods, so we have certificates in place. So notaries are the one which would be serving the certificates. And Inspect or Chef Inspect, because Chef has that automation, Chef Automate has all the integration of Inspect, the infra creation, and the application automation lifecycle. All those things are there in Chef Automate. But Inspect is the one which helps us scan our infrastructure. Suppose I have a machine and I need to open only port number 80. It will make sure it will scan through every day in, day out, and make sure no other port other than port number 80 is open. So these are a few of the things you have to learn. It's not that you learn all the tools or you get certified in all the tools, but I would say you can actually look into a few of the things, and few of the tools you got to master. It's not like you're mastering all the tools and you become a complete DevOps master, because people are working on phases. It's just not like working end-to-end DevOps. Very few places where the tool is small or when the product is small, we would be using. So that was all about the tools. What do you guys think? Like, which tools are most widely used? This is another question which I'm putting out. Which tools are most widely used for infrastructure automation? If I go to Google Trends, which would be the most used ones? And I have a question here from Vasant. CICS product list, which you have listed as an example, will it work with various cloud platforms? Yes, Vasant, it works with various cloud platforms. Name any cloud platform. Those tools are open source tools. They have good integration with all the cloud platforms. Okay. Neetu, you have missed Terraform. Terraform these days is catching a lot of market. Ansible, Chef, Puppet, awesome. There is SaltStack, there is Terraform. I would say Terraform and Ansible are having the biggest market these days. And then the cloud providers, CloudFormation template, ERM template, and then Google's automation tool, which we have. So, yeah, any questions? Yeah, Selenium is testing tool, which is used for writing test cases when you have web-based application and you want to write different test cases. That time, you can use Selenium type of tool, Vasant. That helps us in giving those test framework completely for the web-based application. Any other questions, guys? Hopefully you got an insight about it, what sort of tools can be used and what would be the different flavors of it. Future of DevOps. There's a lot of future of DevOps, I would say, because DevOps, at least in Indian industry, it has started 4 or 5 years back. And yet a lot of people have not automated the complete life cycle. It is very few things they have automated. And it's not that they have automated the complete stuff, or they have not automated few things, few phases. They have not automated the few other phases of life cycle. So DevOps is coming up with ML as well. ML Ops is coming. So master machine learning and artificial intelligence is also catching a lot of market. So DevOps is going hand in hand with that as well. So what are the tips you would like for the fresher looking for a career in DevOps? At least you should have one cloud certification, I would say, basic certification, one of it, or the working knowledge. These days, what happens when you are working on a cloud platform and you don't have a certification, people look for that logo in the resume. So pick up one of the clouds. Azure and Google are like increasing the market now. They are capturing more market now. So those are like the growing ones. You can look for them. And then pick one forte. Either you would be into infra automation, you would be into build automation, you would be into like containers automation. So either learn Docker Kubernetes, either learn Ansible, Terraform, those type of 2-3 options. You have to be open. You can't say that I'm master in this and I don't know the other ones. At least the names have to be understood and what responsibilities they play or which phase they are used, that should be known at least. Artifact deployment, or does it have disadvantages? No, Artifact has a lot of advantages, I would say. So when we have to maintain a lot of versions of the packages which we are building, then Artifact helps us a lot. So we are pushing everything either in the Artifactory and on the run. Like in the Artifactory also, it is going from one view to the other, right? Like from dev, it is going to the test, it is going to the stage and all that stuff. So here, when we are moving from one environment to the other, Artifactories are too important. And when you are deploying them with the help of CI/CD pipeline, that is also pretty important. I'm deploying it in which type of environment. According to that, I'll be picking up the tools and I can automate the deployment. So only in the prod, maybe a lot of approvals are needed for the Artifact deployment. Otherwise, in rest of the phase, the automated stuff has eased everyone's life and has reduced a lot of effort from the human side. No, not much of intervention is not there. What is the best technology to learn to enter DevOps field? At present, it is Kubernetes and Docker. That's are the two ones which are like too cool and too widely used, and containers is the future, right? So they are one of the two famous tools which are catching up market a lot. Women can get back. See, it's not about women or men. I would say anyone can get back to work, and you need to have right intentions. You need to have right set of working attitude, and if you have correct tools or correct stuffs you have read through, you can always get back to work. And DevOps is famous. DevOps is having a lot of requirements. I was planning to show the market for DevOps, but somehow I didn't put that slide. The market is pretty huge for DevOps, so you should find a lot of traction in the market for that. How about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure certification, Kirti? Not widely used. If you want to do it, you can. But if I'm saying, there's no offense, but I would say there's not that much of market. They are struggling for the market. Ansible is the tool used for infra automation testing. Yeah, it has a test associated with it as well. And HashiCorp Nomads, yeah, Nomad is good. HashiCorp's, all the tools are getting good these days. They have Terraform, they have few other tools as well. All are going good. Containers are similar to virtual machines. They are similar to virtual machines, but they are smaller in size, quicker to boot up, and they don't occupy that much of resources in the server in which they are running. So they are much quicker to scale, quicker to reboot and come, easier to upgrade and on. And that's the reason containers are chosen. They are pretty small compared to virtual machine. Instead of one virtual machine, I can run 5 containers. You can think of that way. So, Shubhanjali, is it done, or do we call the end, or do we have any more questions?
Thank you, Mamta. That was a wonderful, wonderful session and very active participation from the audience as well. The questions.
Sorry that second monitor was not working, so you people had to bear with this screen of mine. And later I realized it was not full. Sorry for that.
Oh, no worries. It was a wonderful, wonderful session, and the questions are still pouring in.
Okay, for an
Right.
experienced
Yeah.
professional but beginner to DevOps, which is the best tutorial that you would suggest? There are n number of tutorials available in the market, I would say. Shubhanjali, your thing is resounding because it's not muted. Yeah. So professionals, those who are working either in dev, either in test, either in infra, either in say operations, whatever it is, right? Or monitoring. I would say containers are one thing, which is one of the biggest tools or biggest thing in the market at this point in time, because how everyone had to push towards virtual machines one day when VMware came with it, and we couldn't say no for it because it had real use cases. Now virtual machines would be existing, but instead of running applications on that, we would be running containers. So containers are one of the most used, I would say, in case you're planning to invest your time at this point in time. Learn containers, learn Kubernetes, and then move to other small tools like Ansible and all, and learn a bit of 2-3 tools. DCA certification worth in the industry, I will say, Pratyusha, not that much. I myself have done it, but no. More than that, you can target for a CKA, which is Certified Kubernetes Architect, or Certified Kubernetes Application Developer. So either or, that would be good for you. Any container from VMware, you should surely find them. They are also working on containers. It's not that they are not working on containers.
Thank you.
VMware had the power of changing the complete industry trend with VM virtual machines. They are working on a lot of stuff, so you would find a difference in the future for sure.
Thank you, Mamta. I think it was a wonderful, wonderful session. The audience had been really interactive, and we learned a lot from the session. It's so nice having you. Thank you, everyone, for active participation.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Shubhanjali, for arranging. And thanks, you guys, for showing so much of patience and actively participating. It was a pleasure talking to you people.
Yeah. Thank you, Mamta.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.